they'll extort money from you because gangs will say, well, they're here illegally, I can get 100 a week from them. Their daughter's 15, I can get a good prostitute out of her. The boy is 12. It's about time he was recruited into my gang. So they're so vulnerable that I'm saying, whatever the documentation process is, and if you want to say just hand them a piece of paper that says you're documented, something.
And so the thing with that, and I agree, those situations do occur. But the thing is, again, why do they occur? It's also because, look at history of why people form gangs in the first place. A lot of times people form gangs because these are people that are on the outside of society that aren't brought in. Same reason why you have the Crips and Bloods gangs in LA, same reason you have the High Five gangs in Los Angeles. Or sorry, High Five gangs in Chicago. And then you also have the form of MS-13, which started in LA, it became bigger in El Salvador. So the question is, you have people that are pushed out, and then and they feel like, okay, well, we can't fall into any other places in society. They come here, you have people that come here illegally, they fall into like maybe areas of Glenwood Park, as you mentioned before, because again, that's where they're comfortable because they have people that look like them, sound like them, talk like them, dress like them. So, but at the same time, they're not fully protected because they also have people that take advantage, and that goes back to the human nature aspect of things, what we talked about again, where there are some people who aren't just, for lack of a better term, good people, and they're just going to try to take advantage.
But what if the guys that are joining the gang aren't doing it because they're on the outskirts of society? Maybe they're doing it because they say, so that's a way, that's for me to get an economic gain, that's how I can get status in my culture, is to join that gang, then I can be somebody walking these streets.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
I just have a question here, like statistically speaking, okay, how big is the group of undocumented immigrants in this country? And how small is this gang issue compared to that, the big mess? So we talk, like if you give means to the big mess, am I gonna do self-cleaning or policing of their own ranks? And then, these bad elements cannot feed on the hardworking.
I had a great idea for that. If someone's willing to turn in a gang member, you give them a fast track to citizenship.
No, because then that's not going to happen because they'll just get beat and or murdered by the gang members.
Well, you could give them protection. I mean, if you have an efficient, he was in the Marines and you did some work, he told me, if you have an efficient system, Brian, they tell you this is where these gangs are.
And these are the members. I mean, we talking of intelligence that really, they have already, it's something that's proven. It's not just like I go and I say, hey, that person is in the gang, that was in communism, oh, that said this or that, that would not work, okay? So this is what, again, I'm going back, it's great about this country and about this nation, it's freedom of speech.
Of course.
And then that freedom of speech can be controlled and you can fact check it basically. So if they say that person's a gang member and all that, okay, we're gonna, and we have proofs, then you can start the processing and deport that person and remove them. Right, and at whatever age they are,
what if they were, if they're here legally? I've actually thought a lot about this. Like if you also could have an alternative, and I don't know if you get the gang out of a guy, but you give them an alternative. They go to court and say, listen, you can get deported, this and that, you're 18, or you can do 40 years in the Marines. Will that get the gang out of the guy?
I met guys like that who were told by the judge
they
join the military or they go to the prison. But they were citizens of this country and legally here.
Okay.
So it wasn't like, because truly you want someone, if they have nothing to lose and they're being put in for them, it's like it's forced upon them to do this, they won't perform well. Okay, and you don't want that. You don't want that among the ranks. Because that's dangerous for the other guys on the left and right. Because, like they don't know anything or anyone, they are not there because they want to serve,
Also, you're talking about taking citizens of another country and trying to put
exactly.
Right,
so
force
that's all
them
the
into
so like that would not work.
Right.
It works, like if they are currently citizens of the states.
Right. Otherwise, you can't.
And they have a choice. Okay, you either serve 2 or 3 years in the prison, for something small, obviously, or you go down you go and you do military service, and it's basically rehabilitation.
But some people are able to join. Like I have a Jamaican friend. He joined the U.S. military.
Well, I joined too with a green card.
Well,
I
okay,
was legal,
Right. That's also free of will.
It's
No,
free
no,
of
I'm
will.
not saying forced. That's a free will thing. If they say you can be deported or you can join the military.
That's like saying I can either punch you in the throat or kick you in the nuts. You have one choice or the other.
But at that point, you are a citizen of that other country, right? So you're legally a citizen of wherever it may be. Let's say the guy's from Italy. He's an Italian guy, and he's
But
here
they don't
illegally.
have legal status here. They don't have green card.
Well, let's say
You-
the guy is
the
here,
green
his
card.
visa expired, and the judge says you
There's
can
no
join
visa.
the
This is no
military.
visa. When you are with a green card, you are a permanent resident of this country. You can do basically everything, just not vote.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay.
So-
What if
A short-term visa.
what if the proposition is either jail or the military for say 2 or 4 years, and as you do your 4 years in the military, you gain your citizenship?
Right.
Again, I'm going back. If you're here as a legal resident, you will have your citizenship in 4 or 5 years. You know, it doesn't matter. You will have your citizenship. If you have your green card, you will have your citizenship. Of course, if you behave, you know, when I say behave, you can behave with a green card, and you're a total asshole, they will deport you, and for good
Absolutely.
rights.
You're a
You know?
total asshole.
Seriously,
No, I mean, yeah.
seriously, you know, you can't just like, you know, like you were born here, right? And I was born in Romania, and I would come here with a green card, right? And I'm total asshole to you, you know, like don't expect me, you know, like me, you know, like
Right.
you have to be normal citizen of a country, you know, you have to, but you have 5 years of probation with the green card, and that's your probation time to prove like you will become a good citizen. You don't have to go and join the military, you know. I elected to join the military, you know. I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do that. You will be a citizen, you know, regardless. You know, a lot of people. I know a lot of people. They came from Romania, Hungary, Germany, and they're citizens of this.
And now
country.
you're a citizen.
Yes, and
After
they're
having a
citizens.
green
And
card.
they,
So we can assume you're not an asshole.
Well, yeah.
Now,
But
he
I'm
might be
saying-
citizen
but I'm just
asshole
saying-
number one.
I'm just saying, you know, there are other people out there, you know, they never served and they're citizen. You don't have to, you know. So like when you come here with a visa, that's temporary.
Right.
That's,
Okay, the visa,
that's
yeah,
really
yeah.
the visa. It's temporary.
Yeah.
That's not forever.
Yeah.
Green card, on the other hand, if you don't want to pick up citizenship, then it can be forever. I know somebody who is an Austrian citizen and also recognizing only single citizenship. And he also has permanent residency, green card here for like 20 years. Because if he would become a US citizen, he would lose his Austrian citizenship. So that's on the flip side, right? He can come and go as often as he wants. He can go and apply for any jobs he wants. But with a visa, you can apply only for certain jobs, you know. You stay in your lane. You're being brought by a company out here to work. So visa, it's a total different game ball.
Got it.
You can just, you know, move freely like, oh, I want to change job and go to LA, you know, from DC to LA. You can do that. With green card, you can do that. So,
Are you for an amnesty program?
I'm for having a. And short answer, yes. More
Okay.
nuanced answer is this. I do think there should be a path. I think you need to create a pathway to citizenship. You're talking about, because otherwise the other issue that you're talking about is like, okay, you have a bunch of people in this country who are undocumented right now. You tell them to get out, they're not going to do that. There's no practical way that you
and
can.
where
try
do
to
they go
enforce-
back? Maybe
Right.
they gave up everything home, you know, they
Right,
don't
also-
have anywhere to go back.
Also, you probably have people in this country who are undocumented that are older than I am, and thus who's more American, them or me? They have more experience in this country. So here's my thing about that is you do have to come up with a system so that for amnesty or forgiveness or whatever you want to do. So I don't know what that would be at this moment. I can't give you an answer to that. What I would say though is you have to be able to look at it on a case by case basis, provided that we have the resources for it. So part of that is also looking at what resources do we have in place for that? What system or what department or do we use to do that? Right now, is that going to be
How do you check
INS? Is that going to be Homeland Security rather, or is that going to be State Department? I don't know. How do you incentivize people to come in and like have a guarantee that they will have a pathway to citizenship?
Well, that's what amnesty is. That's
Well,
the
no, I
incentive.
know that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I understand that. What I'm
Right,
saying
right,
is you have
right.
to provide that incentive and those guarantees to people in the first place. But also we have to revamp. We probably also have to just revamp the whole immigration program that we haven't right now.
So-
and that's a big ticket item.
So the bigger picture, if you're looking at, let's say, because we have people coming from everywhere that overstay visas, from every country in the world,
Yeah.
right? So some type of streamlined program. But I think more or less, maybe more coming from Central America than anywhere else. So could they implement a plan? I've thought about this too, a processing area, or a couple along the southern border, where people would go there, have to stay there while they did a background check, and get people, for example, some type of a work visa to do the background check and get, so when they come, they're legal immediately, but
So
we know everybody that's here.
Ellis Island. That's I told you.
right, and like Ellis Island,
was
the
a-
southern border Ellis Island, like
It was
couple
a
different
quarantine place, and they had to be there, they checked them medically and all that. They tried to do their best, of course, before they released them to the population. Yet, as I said, two of my ancestors, they returned because even though they were released, like what I'm going to do, I don't speak the language, I can't integrate. They went back home.
places. Would that work for you?
That's it's a possibility. I was actually going to ask you this: what if there was a situation where we had something that was similar to the European Union, but for the Western Hemisphere, though, or just for the Americas?
NAFTA, it's a form of that,
It's a
but
form
not
of that,
with the
but
labor.
that
It's only with the goods.
Exactly. So exactly, but it's also just for U.S. China, or sorry, U.S. Canada.
I'm going to
and
say
Mexico.
something funny now, and then US is going to Brexit, right?
The problem is everybody, but if it
we
was,
only Brexit at once.
let's say it was Canada down to Panama, everybody would have to be at a certain standard, right? Like the European Union to join, they had to be at a certain standard.
Exactly.
So everybody would be at that standard.
You need the buffer zone, right? And you want to keep that buffer zone as safe as possible. Why isn't that done? Why hasn't been done?
Good question.
What's a,
We don't have the answer.
when you say buffer zone, what do you think?
I mean, like now we complain, all these bad things go, like right at the border, we have to build a wall. Why isn't there a wall built, like at the southern border of Mexico? So I'm saying, sorry to say this, I have to be blunt, but like then Mexico would be the buffer zone, and
Right.
then and now look, it's crazy, like what I mean by this, Romania, it's a buffer zone for Western Europe. It's been a buffer zone for many centuries.
It was a buffer zone back with
With the Turks and the Ottomans.
right,
and the
right
Muslims.
when they right. There was that
Yeah,
was
Romania is part of
With
the
the wars
European
of
Union,
Poland,
but
the
it's a
Muslim,
buffer zone, truly,
yeah.
like it's the income in Germany per month, like the average income, let's say it's 2,500 euros. In Romania, it's 300 euros, okay? So it wouldn't change too much, in Mexico, they would not have the same income that they have in the States. You cannot because, the cost of living is less there. So, however, for Romania to join the European Union, they had to take care of their homeless, they had to take care of their children. After communism fell, suddenly all the social network, fell, and people were out on the street, kids were out on the streets, and then it was a huge problem with the orphanages too, like the kids, from orphanages and all that. They were like trading kids, like selling in the 90s, It was actually these German undercover reporters, they smuggled out the boy, to the border, like in the trunk.
Oh my God.
Exactly. That's so one of the elements Romania had to have in place, all the systems and everything. And now it's a big trouble, and our crisis there with corruption.
Well, so that's what you're talking about, getting the systems in place.
But
Well, because
exactly.
But
So
another issue too that with enforcement is that you also have to be able to verify that the countries that are meeting these economic standards are truly meeting these economic standards.
it was verified. So it's like you want to be part of the European Union, you have 3 years to comply, and we're going to send inspectors, and you have to have an open door policy.
Essentially, you don't want another Greece situation. Is
Yes.
what you want to avoid.
Yes, exactly. And it could be done if it would be in the best interest of US. It could be done.
Fantastic. That looks like all the time we've got today. Thank you, gentlemen.